Deadline month for filing your self-assessment tax returns, meaning it's also the month when fraudsters dream up lots of new tax scams. They do it every single year. And often what they do is they'll contact consumers. They will pretend to be from HMRC. And of course, the next thing you know, you are losing your personal information, money, and all sorts of things happen like this. So joining me now to advise on how you can spot a tax scam is Mitch Hahn, the CEO of leading accountancy firm Nordens. Evening, Mitch.
Evening, Dean. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well, and thank you very much for joining us. Mitch, since I mentioned this at the top of the show, we have been inundated with texts, emails. I'm so pleased we have been, and I knew this was going to be a really popular subject because we all receive loads of communications, and in all honesty, even I never really know if it's genuine or not. And I've been talking about scams on the LBC for the last 12 years. So, Mitch, let me grab some of these messages and let's see what you think about some of them. So, Katie via text says, I received a phone call just before Christmas from a man who said he worked for HMRC collections. He said I still owe £150 from my last tax return. I must also now pay an additional £100 in interest and penalty charges. He gave me bank details to make the payment, and I made the payment straight away. I'm now worried that this may have been a scam. What do you think? Mitch, I know what I think, but what do you think?
Yeah. Well, obviously I don't know Katie's situation, but it's possible it was from an external debt collection agency, which HMRC sometimes pass their debts to. But Katie should have received correspondence via the post with a statement of account showing whether she owes tax, penalties or interest. If she hasn't received anything like that, then it definitely could and sounds like a scam. And even when making payment, if it comes directly from HMRC themselves, they'll put you through to an automated payment system. So, I mean, the best thing to do for Katie would be, I would say, to log into her gateway if she has one, and it will show a statement of account there. And if she hasn't got a gateway, call HMRC using their direct number from their website, or speak to her accountant or an accountant if she hasn't got one.
And Mitch, when you say gateway, is this like an online portal, is it, where you can see how much tax you owe and paid and so forth?
Yeah, whenever you have to file a self-assessment return, you should have it's called a government gateway. So it's basically your account with HMRC using your UTR number. So you can go on their website. You should have one set up if you file a self-assessment yourself. Even if you don't, your accountant will have the gateway as well. So yeah, it's basically just an account with HMRC linked directly to your personal tax reference number.
Okay, so basically what we're saying here is it may or may not be a scam, not straightforward. Katie needs to go and check with her accountant or perhaps contact HMRC. And Katie, let me say this. If it transpires that this is a scam and it sounds like you've made a bank transfer to pay what will be a fraudster, then go to your bank and say to them, I've been the victim of a scam. I've made a bank transfer, an APP we call it, and ask if they're part of the scheme whereby they will reimburse customers when they end up sending or transferring funds out of their bank account to a fraudster. Most banks are part of this scheme. If your bank is, maybe you'll be able to get this money back. Let's go to another question. Frank via email asks, I received a message via WhatsApp yesterday that says that it's from HMRC. It says I need to provide urgent information about my tax status and contains a link to do this. I've not clicked the link yet. Do you think it's genuine? What do you think, Mitch?
No, that's definitely a scam. HMRC will never contact you via WhatsApp. Don't click the link. And there is something on HMRC's website where you can report it, all the different things that happen, all the scamming numbers and emails and so on. But no, that is an absolute scam.
I get this question often, actually, about WhatsApp, and people starting to think, well, it's, a well-known form of communication now. Lots of companies are using it. I think HMRC are probably using it as well. But we are sure HMRC are not using WhatsApp. That's the message this evening. Also, Mitch, I noticed here where this message said urgent. And often when it's a scam, they have a sense of urgency, don't they? They're pushy with you.
Yeah, absolutely. They're very pushy, very threatening, and they use fear mongering and fear tactics to absolutely trying to get you to depart with any funds, I say. But yeah, no, that's definitely a scam via WhatsApp.
So, Frank, do not, as Mitch says, do not click on that link. Anyone else listening, if you get a message from WhatsApp and it says it's from HMRC, what do you think, Mitch? Just delete it? Definitely don't action it?
Just whatever you do not click on that link. Do not click on that link, yeah.
Sean, via email as well, says, I received a text message this week from HMRC. It says HMRC has received a tax return in my name and needs verification that it is genuine. I clicked on the link and answered some security questions and ticked the box to say I have not filed a tax return. I'm now worried this was a scam. What do you think, Mitch?
Yeah, I think that's a scam. I think depending on the information that Sean gave, you should definitely contact, like you said earlier, Dean, with Katie's situation, contact the bank just to ensure that no fraud occurs. There's no way HMRC, they sometimes use text messages, which I'm sure we'll come on to, but that's something that HMRC wouldn't do.
Do you think they'd ever come to you and say, we've received a tax return, we want to check it's from you? Have you ever heard of HMRC doing that?
Not via text message anyway, that's for sure.
Yeah.
They will. There's no. It's very unlikely they would do that. No chance really.
And the other thing is, I know lots of people, if they do a self-assessment tax return, will use an accountant. And am I right in thinking that if you use an accountant, HMRC, if they need to ask a question, would actually go to the accountant and not you? Is that right?
Yes and no. What they tend to do normally, so any accountant would file an authority form with HMRC to basically say we are the accountants, correspond with us, but they do send correspondence to the consumer as well, to the person as well, so they're always in copy. But yeah, they fully expect the accountant to reply. But you can reply as a consumer, as an individual yourself as well.
Now, obviously, Mitch, there are times when HMRC do need to contact you. But what sort of thing would they contact you about?
So firstly, I just want to say that there is a page on HMRC's website where it states all the things that could be genuine if they do contact you. They're never going to ask you for any personal or financial information. And if they do contact you sort of out of nowhere, then it will be mainly to give you information or to remind you of something. For example, HMRC may contact you if you've opened the Help to Save account, reminding you that if you've not put any money into the account about the benefits and things like that, they'll contact you to provide you help and support and give you things like your like webinars and YouTube videos to watch. If we get more technical, they'll contact you via email for Making Tax Digital, which is something for VAT, but they won't contact you with any personal or financial, asking for any personal or financial information.
So it's a bit like a bank where the bank says we will not ask for your passwords and so forth. HMRC is the same. If someone receives a communication where they're asking for personal information, then it's just not going to be HMRC.
And Dean, what I would say is as well is even if it was HMRC, but it was a genuine bit of correspondence from HMRC, get it checked out. Definitely check with a local or check with an accountant or anyone who has experience of dealing with HMRC, because once you've handed over information, it's too late.
Now, Mitch, we've heard from listeners, obviously, who have received WhatsApp, text, emails and so forth. What methods does HMRC use? What are the genuine methods of communication that HMRC do actually use? We know WhatsApp's not one of them. Anything else?
They mainly correspond via mail, via letters, that famous brown envelope that everyone dreads. But they do rarely use email or phone. But like I said, they'll never ask you for any personal or financial information. And if they do correspond with you via email, it will come from a letter first. So in the letter, it will say, if you want to reply via email, you can reply via email, and it will have it will have an individual's email address. It won't want generic HMRC email address, and you have to give them permission via email to be able to correspond with you via email. So mainly letters, but sometimes it can be email if you've given them permission to do so.
So that's an interesting point. So if you haven't given permission, then perhaps you should just always assume this is going to be a fraud. And of course, if it's genuine and you do not respond, they can't really have a go at you if you've not given them permission to correspond with you via email in the first place. So that's a really good point. Mitch, the last thing I want to ask you is, I know there's lots of online scams where there are fake HMRC websites. What is the genuine HMRC?
So it's really simple. It's hmrc.gov.uk. That will take you to exactly where you need to be. And you're right, there are so many links. And with AI now as well, it just makes things worse. So what I will say, like I said, it's hmrc.gov.uk. But what I would say, Dean, is for anyone who's received any correspondence, whether they think it's genuine or it is genuine, always get it checked by an accountant.
Great. Thanks, Mitch. Wonderful advice. Thank you so much for that. That was Mitch Hahn, the CEO of accountancy firm Nordens. Great advice. Do you know what? Every year I hear about tax scams to do with tax returns. This year, I just wanted to get some advice like this, so I'm very grateful for Mitch for doing that. Please listen to it. Please tell other people to listen to this show on Catch Up, to listen to that advice, because as I say, I hear from so many people every year, every January, February, who have been caught out with one of these scams. And you have to be so careful. And we just all think, oh, it's a WhatsApp. Everyone uses WhatsApp now. It'll be genuine. No, it's not. If it looks genuine, it does not mean it is. That's why that advice from Mitch was so good. We have to be so careful. And I agree with advice as well. If you receive something, get it checked out before you respond. Don't be trigger happy. A genuine HMRC communication, they are never going to be upset with you for not responding straight away if you decide you're going to do your due diligence first and check it out, because that's what everyone should be doing. And that's what HMRC, to be fair, are telling people to do as well, because they know that there are so many scams. And they tell us that they are trying to do lots of things to stop these scams. But, you know, when you receive phone calls and the phone number looks genuine because of what we call spoofing, which again is very common, which is where they can make it look like it's coming from a genuine number here from HMRC, you just never, ever know. It's best to take the assumption it's a scam. Don't take the call, don't respond, check it out, and then contact them using the details on their official website. More of your calls and texts coming up next here on the LBC Consumer Hour. You're listening to Dean Dunham.